78% of suicide rates worldwide are men. What can we do to help them?
Don't forget to support our shitty channel, please.
Don't expect men to be manly. We have worries, we have fears just like anyone else. Sometimes we don't want sex, we just want someone to hold us and tell us everything is going to be okay. The modern world shouldn't expect someone to be anything other than a contributing member of society, be it any way. Men like power and feeling looked up to, but like women and children, we need someone to love us and someone we can fall back onto. When a man, or even a woman, is shutting people out and isolating themselves, they need your love the most. I know this will get buried, but I hope someone can take something from this. Both men and women expect men to be manly. However, it's really women who are truly influential in reinforcing manliness. Men don't give a shit what other men think. They feel the need to be that way because of how much importance women place on it. This might be true. I don't worry about crying in front of men, I don't particularly care what they think. I worry about crying in front of women because unless I'm crying a single tear while holding a weapon swearing vengeance, it feels like crying. Real crying, like the ugly red-faced snotty kind of crying, is just gonna make me look weak to them. All of the things that are most shameful about being unmanly, such as not being able to be a provider or have a flashy job, not having money and status, being perceived as weak, etc., feel shameful because of how it must appear to women. Men's opinions don't really matter, and maybe I'm just lucky, but I've never heard sincere man up from men when I'm in dire straits unless there's work that needs to be done and I really should put my feelings aside for a while. I have heard man up from women when opening up about anxiety and shit before, though, and that hurt most. Having said that, I don't really think that's women's fault at all. I care about being attractive to women, and I think it's completely natural and probably ideal that women would be most attracted to strong men with good jobs who have their shit together. You can't tell people what they should be attracted to. If I didn't care so much about what women thought, it wouldn't be so shameful, so really it's my shit when I get down to it. Hilarious, because men expecting women to be feminine, elegant, and ladylike is considered sexist and patriarchal. You won't hear the end of that from feminists. It absolutely is endorsed by women. They play a significant role in driving toxic male behavior. And to make matters worse, they are incredibly hypocritical and even unaware of it. An uncle-in-law shot himself to death this week. The guy was screaming for help and threatening to do it for days. He was 48. What are the options? If I was dealing with heavy depression and just wanted to talk to someone, where do I go? I've sought independent counselors and they usually turn out to be nutcases themselves. Seems like this just adds to the overall feeling of hopelessness. Do men have more difficulty connecting with counselors in general? If so, what is a better option? I do not know if it's more difficult for most men, but personally, it's quite a struggle. When I was a kid, I was seen at my adoptive father's death. But as an adult with heavy struggles, I cannot manage to get a consultation as I'm not seen as an emergency. I don't plan on killing myself, even though it's a daily thought. I still try to get me out of it by myself, and I'm not a danger to anyone else, nor am I into drugs, except the occasional blunt once in a while. I still live in country with a decent socialized healthcare system, but it's so jammed I can't manage to find anyone to help me fix shit. Dude, I was turned away from 7 different psychiatrists and therapists for being too high risk to take on as a client cause I was suicidal with history of attempts. People don't want to help if they truly believe you're gonna do it. Because it looks bad if one of their clients offs himself. That's awful. I'm a therapist with many suicidal clients, so I know we are out there, but I am sad that it seems there are too few of us. For what it's worth, in most places in the US, some community-based centers will take all clients regardless of insurance, severity of symptoms. Typically people have to wait longer to get in to see someone, but it may be worth it. A lot of therapists I see are burned out, but I usually say if you feel like a therapist is taking you seriously in the first few sessions, then you probably found a good one. Treat us like humans. I was sexually assaulted as a child and frequently tried to harm myself, but whenever I talked to someone about it they scoffed and said I was telling fibs. Edit, thank you for all the kind words. Please, if you're thinking of hurting yourself, please seek help, don't go it alone. I told my wife that I was molested as a child. It took me nearly 10 years to work up the courage to talk about it. Her response was, well, I can understand why she did it, and that was it. My beautiful children are all that keep me going at the moment. You better believe I won't be talking about it again to people face to face. Yup, told one my past partners my history when she was inquiring why I wasn't as sexually active as her past. Where I was tied up as part of a game by a female friend who was 14 when I was 10 and forced to have sex before I even knew what it was. And then when her father walked into the barn, beat the shit out of me while I was still tied up, blaming me for seducing his daughter. Her response was, oh, so you got to have sex early, bet the guys loved that. Yeah, because I was going to brag about that shit. To this day I still have the thought in the back of my mind that someone is going to pop up and beat the shit out of me for having sex. Which is honestly why I don't pursue partners that often, which in turn means a ton of time in singledom. Shit's fucked, I know at no point was it my fault, but stuff is messed up, and working through those issues with a person who actually is understanding of that in a relationship just seems like too big of a fucking stretch. Therapy helps, but at the end of the day having relationships end because I can't get over my shit just makes it feel like it's not worth the hurt that comes when they end. Stop telling them to man up or grow a pair because men suffer too. This. When I got a knee injury which the 911 crew said I normally should be passed out from the pain, the only thing I was worried about was whether people would notice I had a tear coming out of my eye. Women reading this, I told my wife about something that hurts my feelings when she says it, 5 or 6 times a week. You just have to think when referring to some mistake or other I make with the kids. I find it belittling and hurtful. She's there with them full time and understands their every cue. Her response after I told her I was being too sensitive. I cried myself to sleep that night. I'm not suicidal or depressed, but that cut. If somebody was, that would have been devastating for them. Women, men feel, and that's okay. Some of us are even learning to talk about it. We need support when we do, not stereotypes. Woman here. I'm sorry. We got conditioning too, and most of it was only girls can cry or telling boys don't cry, be a big boy. We spend our adult lives complaining we can't find a sensitive man, but look down on crying men. Crying actually releases chemicals in the brain that help the body to calm down and cope. We condition men not to cry, yet we seem baffled as to why men suffer from higher suicide rates. We tell them not to express any sadness to the point it turns to rage. You're correct. We need to allow people to express healthy emotions. Too sensitive is kind of a pointless term. Maybe someone cries for what seems like no reason, but privately they're dealing with a lot. Maybe dealing with mentally abusive statements wears you down over time. Maybe you're just exhausted. Point is, if you're crying, your body is telling you it can't keep up and needs a break. Also, fuck anybody who is laughing about your pain. They need to grow up, stop valuing men less. Dangerous job. Send in the men. Women and children first. Stiff upper lip and all that. And violence against women, of course, who wouldn't want that? But why, by default, assume violence against men is normal and to be expected? Worse health outcomes. Provide more opportunities to form communities and activities that cater to different men's needs. A lot of us don't have friends or intimate platonic relationships, and we're in desperate need of that. I'm a 34-year-old married man who is also a father, and I have no friends that I see or socialize with on the regular. I think this is a part of aging and of having a family that needs me. The same can also be said for my wife, She is the only person in her circle of friends who is a working mother and is married, so she pretty much never sees any of her friends. Sometimes things like family duties can just bury all your free time outside of work. I DM'd for Dungeons and Dragons for 3 dudes and a gal, including my brother who is on the autism spectrum. It has massively helped him come out of his shell and is now good friends with the people we play with. Been going on almost 2 years now.